Dave from our Psychedelic Sixties segment. Stay tuned for a simplified guitar solo, or guitar tutorial for that matter, on the Beatles classic Norwegian Wood. And I shall be right back.
Play like a pro at String Sound Studios.
Mike Violette of String Sound Studios, and glad you tuned in again. This is our 5:15 or our evening edition. I did one in the afternoon at noon, so I did a live and archived at noon. And if you joined in then, that's great. If you didn't, you can see it again. If you're joining into both, you tell me which one you like better, okay? Or tell me you don't like either of them. I don't know. All right, anyway, we are multi-streaming, and multi-streaming is this. I'm streaming to a variety of platforms at the same time. That's a little trick, okay? So we're on Facebook. We're 2 channels of Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on a whole bunch of things. We're on Twitter as well, okay? And a whole bunch of other things, some more obscure things like Vaughn Live in Africa. What else? A whole bunch of things. So tune into any one of those. I think the best listening experience and the best viewing experience is YouTube, okay? And remember these, once I do these, they become videos, whether if I choose to leave them there, I leave them there and they become instructional videos so you can always watch it later. And you can comment later and hopefully I'll get back to you. But right now, if you wanted to, You wanted to send me some feedback, you go right through the chat box if you're on any of those, here's the chat box, any of those programs. So you see me, you can click in, hey Mike, how you doing, whatever, play this, do this again, right? Now, I mentioned we are doing, the nature of, big mention, what we're doing today is a simplified guitar solo on Norwegian Wood by the Beatles. And I'm simplifying it in a lot of aspects, but let me go through a couple things we're gonna do, okay? So our aim is this. We're doing a simplified melody. We're using chords when the melody is sustaining. We're playing the melody and the chords in the same position. We do switch positions, then we stay in the position for a while, okay? And we do kind of some things where we do this, modal interchange, if you would. So I will get started on the tune, teach that to you, and we shall get going. Here we go. And I'm going to zoom in as usual and hide behind the chat box so you can see my hand. So I'm still here. Here comes the hand. Nice and big so you can see that. All right, here we go. Now, I'm going to do it differently. You might have been listening when I did the excerpt in the beginning. I'm going to play it differently and simplify it. I was messing around with it, playing all kinds of finger stuff. But what I want you to do first, okay? First of all, in the first part, we're going to use mostly a D chord, okay? And that's it. There are other harmonic things going on, not much though. However, at that point, we will just be doing the melody. And I'll tell you what chord goes with that melodic sequence. But for the most part, this whole time, it's just one chord. That's why, and we're going to make it even simpler. All right. Now, remember, I play here for purposes of illustration, so you can see it nice and big, instead of looking here and down there. Here we go. Want you to set up on a D chord here. All right. Now, D chord, you're in second position. This is the way I want you to play it. I'm not going to get into all these alternate fingerings. Okay? But it's very important when you play chords, any chord, you have the appropriate angle on your hand and your wrist, that goes with any chord, to be able to play this. And you're playing in the correct spot of your fingers, so you're not running into other strings, and you're out and above the guitar. If you like this, okay, not unless you want to do this. I wouldn't recommend that in the beginning to do things of that nature. But let's keep our hand out front, okay? Whoops, sorry. And let's keep our thumb roughly behind our second finger. Now, you're playing any chord, okay? This is more of a novice lesson. I'm not doing a jazz lesson here. We want to be able to play on the certain parts of the fingertips. Not, oh, you must play on your fingertips. If I'm playing this chord, sometimes I might be running into this string and this note won't sound. And the reason being is, well, maybe I'm just playing a little too much here, right? So you might want to adjust that according to your fingers. You might want to play a little back on that fingertip and look at the angle, see? So I'm not running into other strings. Same thing with all the fingers. You got to figure out where is the best place. Not only I'm going to play on my fingertips, but where is the best place on my fingertip to play. Try to always play as close to the frets. And the other point I want to reiterate, as I mentioned before, is we don't want to shoulder up. We don't want to be too much of an angle. We don't want to be too much like this. Depends on the chord. Remember, your hand's going to pivot according to chords you're playing. If you're playing on an angle like this, see that? If I go back to this, just let me give you a kind of extreme version, like a sharp 9 chord here, right? That angle, my hand's facing this way, my wrist, look at my arm. That's when it pulls in more towards my body. So on a D chord, you're more like this. You're angled more like this, whatever you want to call it, a forward shape. All right, let's get going. Ready? We're in 3. I'm going to play the melody and then the chord. 1, 2, 3. Now open. Now let's take a look at what I did there. I played this. I sustained the chord. Simplified melody, and I sustain the chord, and I strum the chord. Because when I do this, the melody is a long value note. It says 3 beats, okay? 3 beats. So I'm going to fill it up. Once that melody note is in the air, that's when you can fill. Right? You don't want to be playing all kinds of crazy stuff and obscure the melody. You want that melody to be there all the time, as much as possible, okay? And it's a different thing. If you're just singing the melody, you could just strum the chords. Okay, but we're doing chords and melody. So, melody. Open B. Yeah, go back to here. All right, second position. I play this F sharp. 1, 2, 3. That's in the air. Ba. Yes, it's held. Once that's in the air, you can go back to playing the chord. All right? I mean, you could play a D chord like this. So you always hear that F sharp sustains more. However, want to stick with this. Simple, right? 1, 2, 3. That's kind of like your first phrase. Now let's go to the next part. Simple, all just melody. I'm going to play the E here, open G, and back to a D chord. Watch from here, 1, 2, 3. 1. See, melody's here. Remember, I'm trying to stay on the same string as much as possible, okay? If you go here in the beginning, most of your melodies on the 3rd string. I could play it all on the 3rd string, but I like to play the B open. Watch. 1. Right? Here. Now 4th. 4th string. All right, 3rd. 4th string. 4th string. So I'm keeping the open G on that second phrase, and I'm keeping the open B on the first phrase. Let's play that whole thing from there again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Stop there. All right, absorb that a minute. Now, next part. This, harmonically, the next melody, the next phrase, would be a C chord to a D chord. Do-dee-da, and then back to the D. What we're doing here is, I'm keeping most of the melody, again, on the 5th string. I'm going to play that open G, but the other notes are what? C, B, A. Make sense? So we have a C, B, and A. See that? Keep it over here. C, B, A. All right? Now I got this. I'm going to play and then go to the chord. Ready? Second part of the phrase. 1, 2, 3. Notice what I did. I did C, jumped up to the G, and then I'm going to strum the chord. So my sustain note is an A, open A, A. Make sense? Okay? See that? Like my orange glasses? Okay. Again, I'm going to play that whole first phrase from the beginning. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Now stop. It does that same thing again, that identical thing. Okay? And then we're going to go to a bridge. So you're going to play those parts, that part where I just ended, you're going to repeat that whole thing. And that's your verse. Then it's going to go to the bridge, and we'll talk about that in a moment. First, I'm going to go back and play that part twice so you can see what I'm doing. You can follow along. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Another bar G. Again, A. All right, stop there a moment. Now what happens? We're going to switch positions. So let's just do a brief review here. We're doing a simplified melody. We're using chords when the melody is sustaining to fill up some space. All right. And then playing the melody in the chords in the same position. And this was what we call second position. Remember, because my first finger starting off the second fret. The better definition of that, if you want to say it's the fret behind the second finger, because we do a lot of stretching like this, that still would be second position. Well, you can say this right now. Oh, my first finger's starting here. And this chord, D, is in second position. Okay? Can you play it other ways? Yes. All right. But we're sticking with one version of it. Okay? Now, we're going to go to first position. Here's my first position. Let's just go through the chords. There's only a couple chords. And here's my D minor chord. Da, 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 dee, da, da. That's your melody, right? So if you take a look, what's the difference between the D major chord and the D minor chord? Well, besides the fingering is a little bit different, okay? It's just this one note, right? I could play a D major chord, slide this up. There's my D major. Of course, we're playing it this way, the D major, but take a look. Oh, yes. So in order to make a major chord minor, you drop the third of the chord, which would be F, meaning D, E, F, right? If D is 1, D, E, F is your third note of the chord, right? Chords are usually built in their most basic form. Triads are built root, third, fifth. So we go from F. There's my F sharp. I just want to show you that. Now, what's happening here? Well, we have what you call common tones and common fingerings. I didn't put that down as a concept, although it's one a sub-aim if you want. Okay? What do I mean by a common tone? Well, what does D share with D minor? They share these two notes. Right? right? D and A. They share these two notes. See that? There's your D chord. There's your D minor. And I also talked about common fingerings. Now, they share one common fingering. That would be this. So when you're switching to the D minor, let's not take my whole hand off and reform a chord. And that goes for any chord. Anytime you could hold something, you have common tones and common fingerings. Okay? Hold it down. There's anchor my third finger right there. There you go. That's my D minor. Now let's take a look at the D minor part. What I'm going to do is similarly, I'm going to play the melody. Now the melody is 3 quarter notes here. Let's just play the melody a minute so you see what I'm doing. 1, 2, 3. Stop there. But what I'm doing is I'm going to put this chord in the air. I'm going to play the melody, then strum the chord. A few times, then I'm going to go back to the melody. Remember, that A note is in, which is the melody note, is in the chord. Well, watch what I'm going to do. Play the melody, put it in the air, right? Maybe play it again. There's my G. I'm going to hold the rest of the chord. There's no reason to pick it up if you're holding that chord and sustaining, right? So I got this. Watch. 1, 2, 3. Continue. Let's go up to that G note. Now let's take a look at the next part of the melody, which is G, F, F. At this point, a G chord will come in. Okay? I want you to do this. Ready? 1, 2, 3. See that? One more time. 1, 2 notes, right? You have a G here on the open, and then you go to the F. 1, 2, F natural. 2, 3. All right, now let's start from that D minor chord here. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. So what I did is I played the open G, right? And then I strummed the chord. 2, 3. Remember, sustaining melody. Fill it up with a chord. I'm going to play that part again for you. Rest my arm a minute. All right, let's do it from here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Stop. You should be able to get that. You could always rewind it. Go back and get it. I played it a few times. Next part. Now we're in first position. Remember, you want to play the G chord like this. Here, yeah, you could do a G like this. But I want you to go, for this part, I want you to go play the melody in first position. Could we do it in second? Yes. Okay. You can't really do the D minor in second position. That's why I'm doing the rest of it in first. We don't want to jump around with positions too much. All right? I got my D minor, then I went to my G. Now, what's that scale that starts on? It starts on a B. All right? Look at a scale thing. You could say it's a C scale, which it is, starting on B, which is a Locrian type mode. I don't want to get into that. But just so, you can look that up. Locrian, what's that? Get into a big thing. Okay. Now watch, we're going to start here from the B. Right back to that melody. Dee-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da. Right? I don't think there's any vocal here. We're just playing this scale to get up to the G-da-da-da-da-da-da. Leads you right back to that D minor. All right? Oh. let's take it from the G chord. 1, 2, 3. Back to this. Okay? There's your melody note. So I start from this D minor. G again. 2, 3. 1, 2. Bam, bam. That's your melody. Now we're going to do it like this. Let's take that last part from the G because you know this, right? And you go back to the da-da, the A on the D minor chord again. Let's take a look at that last part. You're going to get to resolve it to this G. 1, 2, 3, A. Then we're going to play an A7 chord. Well, let's take a look at that A7 chord. All right, we got our G chord, right? 3, 2, 4. Let's take a look at our A7 chord. So my A7 chord, I'm going to keep like this. All right, I'm going to play the melody note, then I'm going to jump back to here and go E, keep the open G. All right, so there's my chord, open A, E, here, right? Open G, C sharp, should be here, and E. You're better off just focusing here on what I'm doing around. I don't like, put all these split screens and everything. Chord diagrams flashing all over. Just watch and listen to what I'm doing. Make this big enough. There's no reason to put a chord diagram up there and do all these edits and everything. And this is live, folks. Okay, you can watch it later. It won't be live. Watch it anytime you want, any time of the day, any day of the week, and whatever you want. And if you think I should do that, I will, but I don't think it's necessary when I'm playing nice and big here. Remember, when I'm doing this here, all right, you don't play like this. I just don't want you to look back down there by the pickups on the guitar, because then that becomes more like a split screen. Oh, I got to look here, I got to look there, I got to look here. You can see this much better, and it's nice and big. That's what I'm told. And one of the reasons I do this is because, well, I've been teaching a long time, and I teach a lot of in-person as well. And when you're doing that, okay, you still have to do things like this, because then you find your students are looking back and forth at you. Yes, they can read too. However, you need to show them things. And if you can do this for purposes of illustration, then do it. If you can't, then don't. Okay? All right. Ready? Some situations call for that and some don't. In this case, we can do it. Okay? It's not something really, really advanced. All right. So here we go. I'm going to take that last part again. Ready? G. Where does that take you, that A7 chord? Also known as a dominant chord, which creates harmonic tension, which will bring you right back to the D. D chord. All right, so this is written in the key of G. It's revolving around the D chord and then D minor. So we can say this is, well, the key signature is suggesting G. We could say it's modal, okay? We could say it's, which it is, rock. A lot of rock is modal. It's like a D mixolydian, and then it goes kind of to a D minor type thing, okay? But you want to look up these phrases. I don't want to get into mixolydian and locrian as I mentioned some of these things here, okay? All right, let's take the song from the minor section on out, okay? Ready? From the modal interchange, if you would. 1, 2, 3. right, so then it goes back to that. So remember, folks, we have simplified melody. We're using chords when the melody is sustaining, okay? And we're using, playing it a lot in the same position, doing a modal interchange, and changing the key. So I'm going to zoom out, and we're going to play the whole thing together because you're watching. All right. I'll zoom out, we'll play the whole thing, we'll wrap it up. If you felt, give me a shout. If you're watching this video at a later time, zoom over. All right, that's good enough, right? And I won't go crazy playing all kinds of finger stuff. I'll keep it kind of the way we did it. Ready? One. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. To the top, I. And there you have it, right? So work on that. Now, again, simplified melody, using chords when the melody is sustaining, playing the melody and the chords in the same position. And we'll talk about that, modal interchange going from like D to D minor, okay? Join me for another live stream, hopefully next week. Right now we're on June 17th. Happy Father's Day, everyone in America here. I don't know what other parts of the world they celebrate that, because I'm streaming to the world right now. It's great, I got people watching me in China, and we are on a China website. They don't know what I'm saying, but they can do the language and use the closed captions, whatever. Okay, so join me for another live stream. Stay tuned for, I don't know what I'll do. I might do another Beatles song. Another 60s segment. I'm planning on doing one next week, or June 17th, if you're watching this now in 2022, all right? And sign up for my Play Like a Pro video courses. And let me go back. You can always log on to the website. We do promos, so join all our social media, right? I mean, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, especially join Vimeo too. Everyone should be on Vimeo. It's a great platform. Again, I think the best one right now, for viewership is YouTube. You watch this on YouTube and chat, but watch whatever you're on, okay? So sign up for my Play Like a Pro video courses, okay? We got some courses there. You can download them. They're relatively inexpensive, $30, $29, whatever. But pure beginning guitar course, beginning blues courses, there's all kinds of things. Just check them out, all right? And they're good curriculum, let's say. It's a curriculum, okay? These videos are a little more random. Obviously, I'm not doing a curriculum, although I could on certain things. And send feedback through any of our social media or from my website at stringsoundstudios.com. Okay? Let me know what you would like to do, and I'll try to do it. Requests, I do it. Sometimes I do requests. People request something, I do it, and they're not on. So send me an email who you are. I'd have to send Well, I do that. I send, okay, I'm doing this this week for you, and they're not on. So I tend to do these on Friday, just so look on the website. They're usually right on the homepage when we're doing it. All right, an advertisement there. All right, I will see you. I had fun again. This is the 515 edition, and we shall see you next time. And remember to do this.
Play like a pro at String Sound Studio.